Hello, chairman and chairwoman. I hope you are doing well. Okay, so I was actually working on some pictures, the general election pictures, and I thought of recording uh, how I actually go about editing some of these pictures. Okay, so that those who don't really know much about it can actually know the process that goes on at the editing phase. So we know that to make a picture nice, okay, actually we would the settings of the picture, the settings of the camera, and how the picture is actually taken from the beginning counts in however you counts in the beauty of the picture at the end. So if you don't take a good picture, it's actually going to affect the picture, and maybe you may be able to correct it at the editing phase, but you may you it will be very difficult, okay, and some of them you may not even be able to correct it at all. So first you must first know how to set the camera and take a good picture. Now after that you come to the editing phase. Now here we sometimes correct some of these pictures. Maybe due to the environment, the picture wasn't that good, okay, due to the environment the picture, and some of them too the pictures will be good, but you just want to enhance it a little bit. So an example of a picture is this particular one. Okay, so here we can see that due to the environment, the picture is a bit blown out, okay, because of where the person was sitting. Now we are going to do a little bit work on these pictures so that you actually appreciate whatever goes on. So here we can see, selecting these pictures, you can see that the settings we used to take this picture was ISO 400. So that's at your right hand side of the camera raw window. Actually, before your pictures can get here, you would have to go to your file explorer, then you locate your pictures, then you select the number of pictures you want to edit, you drag and you drop at the top of the Adobe Photoshop, okay, the title bar of Adobe Photoshop. That's where you're actually going to drop the pictures. Now since these pictures were taken in a raw format, so at the top you can see the name of the picture with the extension or the formatting which it was taken. So here we have CR2, and that's the raw format, okay. You can still set your camera to take a picture in a JPEG format, okay. Now after importing your pictures to Photoshop, depending on the setting of Photoshop, if you are importing a JPEG picture, you may have to go set this up first, because automatically camera raw pictures or raw files open with camera raw, okay. So when you drop it at the title bar of Photoshop, it's actually going to open your pictures into camera raw. But if it is JPEG you would have to go and set it first, and we will do that later. So now let's go straight into the main points of the video. Now here, looking at the right section, we can see some things we can be clicking and doing all those things so that the picture will look a little bit nicer. And just at the top we can see a form of graph, okay, and just below that graph we see the settings that we used in taking this particular picture. This particular picture was taken with ISO 400 and using the 135 millimeters length of the lens. So our lens, that's the NUPS-G lens, ranges from 18 to 135 millimeters. Now this particular picture was taken with the 135 millimeter part, okay. That means that it was the person was zoomed in, okay, so that the image can be captured. Now we also have our aperture to be 5.6, so that's where we can see f5.6, and the shutter speed to be 1/160 seconds, okay. Now when we are working on this, when I am working on these pictures, I actually set my Actually, the camera, the picture style that we take these pictures in have been set to landscape. Okay, so usually when I come to the profile, I usually change the picture to the profile to Adobe landscape, but I don't want to be going to each of the picture changing just this profile. It's going to waste my time, so I'm going to show you how I usually make things a bit faster for me. So what I do is I look for maybe a picture I can see most of my colors, the colors I want to stand out in. So let's say this particular picture. So I have green. Say I would like to, some of these pictures have were taken outside the tent, okay, or outside the canopies, and the one we saw earlier, the person was sitting under the canopy. But I want to work on these colors first and also change the profile of all of them, and then set an auto edit for each of them, okay, so that my work will be a little bit easier for me, even though I still have to go to each of these pictures in order to independently work on them. So what I do is, after selecting one of the pictures I see most of my colors in, I select all the other pictures, okay. So I just preview this picture, then I select all the other pictures by clicking on Ctrl+A. Okay, so at the top you are going to see 60 out of 60 selected. That's because I have uploaded 60 pictures and I've selected all of them to apply a certain editing style, or maybe a certain effect to them. So the first thing I said I'll be doing is changing my color profile. So I'm going to change it to Adobe Landscape, and when I change it to Adobe Landscape, you can see that the picture changed. Okay, it was enhanced a little bit. That's because our camera was set to landscape. That's the picture style. Okay, so every picture style has a little bit difference, okay, from the other one. Now after setting my profile, I then go to auto. Now the reason why I let Photoshop automatically help me in the editing is that I want my work to be fast. The pictures are plenty, okay. I can't be doing all of them, like working on this, and actually the automatic editing just works on the basic editing, okay, and not the other ones, not the curve details. No, that one, it doesn't go there. It just work on the basic ones, okay, just to make correct things in your picture. So still with all my pictures selected, I just go to auto. Now let's see the changes this auto comes with. So here you can see that this picture has changed. It has really changed. Look at how it was. How do you even say? Look at how it was, and now look at how it has become. Okay, so it has been enhanced. Okay, that's because I applied the auto. Now this auto is not always right. Okay, maybe in some pictures you may see that it's decreased the exposure of the picture too much or something, but with this one it's okay, but we are still going to enhance it a little bit. Okay, so after doing this, after clicking on my auto to apply an auto effect to it, I now come to my color mixer, and here I want to see some colors come out, some colors stand out, okay, from other colors. Now most people usually wear blue, so when I go to my saturation, I want to see the blues stand out. Most people usually wear blues to church, so usually I want to see the blues stand out. And also the aquas, I want to see them come out a little bit. The aqua is just it's just like blue, okay, but usually when you look at the sky is usually aqua in color, not really blue. Sometimes it's very blue and sometimes it's very aqua. Anyway, they are all blues. So I just increase my aquas to, let's say, 12. let's say 15. Then because I have some of my pictures may be containing green grasses like this, I also want to make them come out. Okay, so let's say I'm going to take it to around 11 or 12. Then I'm going to reduce my yellows to 5, okay, so that the greens can appear more, because in the green grass there are yellows, okay, and even in our picture there are usually yellows. Okay, so I just want to reduce it a little bit. Now after making some of these pictures stand out, I would want to adjust how I want some of these colors stand out. I would want to adjust how I want some of these colors to appear. That's the particular shade of color I want. So I want to increase the greens a little bit. That's the hue of the greens. So I want to increase it to around 11. Okay, so this is what I actually mean. When I take the greens towards the left side, you can see it is approaching yellow. Now the greens will be changed to yellow. Now when I take the greens towards the right side, it will be approaching aqua, because aqua is the next color that follows it. So the greens will be changing into something blue or something. Okay, yeah, but so I want it to approach a little bit of aqua. That's why I brought it to, let's say, 10. Then I go to my luminance. The luminance is how you want the brightness of these particular colors to be. Okay, so you can, let's take the blue for instance. I can darken my blue by shifting my blues to the left, or I can brighten it up by shifting the blues to the right. Okay, so I don't want to touch the blue. I don't want to touch the luminance of the blue. I just want to darken the aquas a little bit, and that's all. The rest I want to keep them the way they are. It's not necessary to do all these things. Actually, editing pictures depends on you and how you want the picture to look like, and maybe how the picture was actually taken to. Maybe there was something wrong with the picture and you want to correct that thing. Okay, so basically editing pictures is actually enhancing the picture, or maybe you are correcting something. Okay, so because we use the automatic edit to edit all these pictures, so you remember we've still selected all the pictures. They are all selected. That's because we want to select all, so that apply certain effects to them. That's the color mixer and all that, so that our work will be easier for us. Now after doing that, after applying the specific colors, after working on the colors, you want to maybe increase make the textures of the picture a little stand out a little bit. Okay, so I don't actually want to increase the texture. I want to make it clear a little bit. Okay, so I would increase the clarity to, let's say, 21. So this is what I mean. This is clarity decrease. This is how it looks like when clarity has been increased to the highest level. This is how it looks like. I just want it to be at 21. Then maybe I want to put the dehaze at, let's say, 14. Maybe you may want to come back to the dehaze when working on a particular picture. It's not really, you can decide to overlook it when applying the general thing, but later you may want to really do something on it, the haze and the clarity. Okay, as I said, everything you do in editing is actually your own palabra. So now I've done the general thing. Now I want to go to each of the pictures and work on them independently. Okay, so that's the reason why, because of the automatic editing we applied on the pictures, that's the reason why the basic editing values are not seen, because each picture uh, each picture has different its own environment. Okay, now we've still selected all the pictures, and when we applied the auto edit, different values were used to edit each of these picture. So Photoshop can show us all these values here. Okay, so we would have to now go to each of these pictures to see the particular values that was given to each of these pictures. Okay, so let's still maintain this picture. Now instead of, I would now have to select this particular picture. I'll go to my navigation pane where the pictures are, then I select this particular picture. So here you can see that at the top we have 1 out of 60 selected. Now immediately I selected my picture, you can see that the basic editing values are in. Okay, so this particular picture, this is how Photoshop, this is the automatic editing this Photoshop gave to me. It reduced the exposure a little bit, the contrast, increase the contrast, reduce, and all that. Okay, so now what you're actually going to do, the picture is actually fine. Maybe you want to do something. I want to work on the highlights and also the whites a little bit, and also the exposure a little bit. Okay, and usually Canon cameras usually apply a little bit of magentas to the picture. So sometimes you may see some pictures and you would see, when I say magenta meaning violet, you would see some violet colors, and so yeah, I would actually want to reduce some of these violets, and I'll get to that. So first, what I want to do is I want to decrease the highlights of this picture and also the whites of the picture. Okay, and everything depends on you. Okay, so maybe you may not want, sometimes I don't decrease the whites to the minimum level. I sometimes decrease it a little bit, or I sometimes increase it depending on the particular picture I'm working on. So after decreasing the highlights and the whites, I also want to increase the exposure a little bit. Okay, then after doing that, I may, just as I said earlier, you may want to go back to the dehaze or the clarity to either increase it or decrease it depending on the picture. So here I just want to increase the dehaze to 17. It was 14 at first. Okay, I just increased it to 17. Now this is the picture we have now. So I think this picture is okay. So I can go on with the other ones. But before that, as I said, Canon cameras usually apply some form of magentas in your picture. Okay, so in this particular picture you can see a little bit of magenta in them. So I may want to decrease it a little bit by tint, using the tint still at the right side of your camera raw window. You go to tint, then you decrease it a little bit. It shouldn't be too, so at the left side of the bar you can see green, and at the right side of the bar you can see the magentas. Okay, so I want it to approach a little bit of greens. That's, I want to take out some of the magentas. But if you let it go too much, you are going to apply greens to your picture and it's going to be bad. So I want to keep it at, it was 10 at first, so I want to keep it at, let's say 6, or let me make it 7. Okay, so after doing that, you won't really see the major effects in it, and sometimes your screens too differ. Okay, my screen, my graphics, the graphics of my computer is not that high, so I sometimes know how to work with my laptop. So you should also know your laptop too. Yeah. So this is whatever I want to do to this particular picture. Okay, so now I can go to the before. This is the before and this is the after. So here we can see that we just enhance the picture. Okay, So putting the before and after side by side, you can see a great difference. Not that great, but you can see that the colors really came out, and also the picture, we achieved a lot of details in the picture. Okay, so we are going to look at one of the pictures which was taken under a canopy, the one we saw earlier. Then we also look at how we are going to go about it. So this one, so editing this one would also be different from what I just did, even though I've applied the general editing to them. Okay, that one was just to work on the colors, but the real editing is the basic ones. Okay, and that's what we are going to work on in each picture. Okay, so in this picture too, we can see the before and the after. This is the before and this is the after. Okay, yeah. So you can see that there has been an improvement in the picture. Now in this picture, I want to come to the basic adjustment and decrease the highlights. So you can see the details we were able to get in the background when we decrease the highlights. So this was how it was, and when I decrease the highlights, you can see that at the background we got a lot of details from all those white things there. Now I want to also increase the whites a little bit. Take it, yeah, I want to take it out, but I actually want to just increase it, decrease the whites a little bit. So the whites and everything actually works with the exposure of the picture. Okay, so after decreasing the whites, I want to expose the picture a little bit, so I just took it to 0.5. okay, so it was 0.4 at first, that's plus 0.4. now I've taken it to 0.5. okay, so here, and these pictures doesn't really need the sharpening and the noise reduction, because there was actually no noise in it because of the settings we used in taking the picture, and also because we were taking the pictures outside, there was no need to push the ISO too high. Okay, and ISO is going to bring in this noise. Okay, so I wouldn't even want to go to the curve and the detail. I'll just want to work with the basics and then the color mixer. So as I said, I would want to decrease the magentas. Let's say it was +2 at first, so I just want to bring it to 0, and this is what I have. This is what I want to keep. So this is the before and this is the after of the picture. Okay, once again, before and after, putting before and after side by side, you have this picture. Okay, so let's take one last one and then we go. Okay, so let's take this particular picture. So this is the before of the picture, and now this is the after of the picture. So I want to see what I can do to this particular picture, if I can be able to make it a bit nicer. Just as I said, the environment and the settings you put your camera into, everything counts in the picture when working on a picture. Okay, so I may want to decrease my highlights to -100 and decrease my whites to -56 or 57. Then I want to increase my exposure a little bit. So these settings were actually done from the auto edits we did earlier. We applied to all the pictures earlier. Okay, so I want to just increase And so here you can see that the exposure was reduced in this picture, but I want to increase it a little bit and then decrease my whites, so that at least I can gain more details in this particular picture. Then I would like to also increase my dehaze a little bit, so let's say 29. Now I think this is good because of the environment we took this the person was sitting in. You can't, this is how far you can take the picture. Okay, and you also want to go to the previous picture I worked on, and then behave it a little bit. Okay. So after working on each of these pictures, you may want to save all of them. So instead of going to open or done or cancel, you want to save it. Okay, so you can convert and save, or you can just, first you'd have to select all because you want to save all of them, and by selecting all you can use the shortcut key or the shortcut Ctrl+A. Now when you hit on Ctrl+A, it's going to select all the pictures for you. Ctrl+A, all my pictures have been selected. So here you can see 60 out of 60 pictures selected. Now after selecting the pictures, you can go to the convert and save selected pictures, or you can just use shortcut key Ctrl+S. Now Ctrl+S is going to bring this dialog box. Then you would go and choose the destination you want your pictures to be saved in. I've already chosen a particular destination, and that's where I'm actually putting all these pictures. Okay, so I've already selected a destination. Then the file naming, I still want to keep the document name, so I wouldn't have to change it. Then the file extension, I want to still keep it at .jpg. Then the format, here you may want to reduce the quality a bit, because sometimes you may save these pictures and some of them are 11 megabytes and all that, but I still want to keep the quality. But I would in the other phase of editing, that's when I apply the watermark. Okay, that's the NUPS-G UCC whatever service we were having, the watermark on the pictures. I'll be doing that with Lightroom because that one is easier than doing it in Photoshop. In Lightroom you can apply that watermark to all of them at the same time, but in Photoshop you may have to do it one by one. So everything I'm doing here is actually to save time. Okay, so that's where when I do that in Lightroom, I would want to decrease the quality, okay, so that the size will decrease. So if you want to save the particular picture or decrease the quality without going to Lightroom, you can just decrease it here. You can click here and then choose the quality you want, but I still want to keep mine at the maximum quality, that's 12. Then color space, you just leave it this way. Image size, leave it this way, and any other thing. So that's it. You then click on save, but I am not done working on them, so I can't click on save. Okay, so after clicking on save, you would see some notification down here, that's at the down left corner, bottom left corner of the camera roll window, showing you the progress of this of the pictures you are saving. Okay, so when it's done saving, you can then click on done, then the pictures go away. So that's all I want to show you today. Maybe another time you may look at the Lightroom version of what I was talking about. Okay, thank you.